Well, staying with the court, the Springs Magistrate's Court in Ekurhuleni has postponed the murder case of Paula Mqoba to December 5. Mqoba was allegedly assaulted by her boyfriend last month and died at hospital. Now, Newzroom Africa's Tumaole Mohlaoli is following the story, and he joins us outside of the court. Tumaole, good morning to you. You'll tell us what happened inside court in a moment, but cases such as this one receiving the attention from the country's #1 citizen, the president, writing about GBV in his Monday newsletter, calling on men to become part of these conversations around how to treat women.
Indeed, Goli, and a very strong message there. It's not the first time that President Cyril Ramaphosa has spoken out about this issue of GBV and calling on the nation in general to have very frank and very honest conversations, focusing there on the latest newsletter for men to try and address the issue, the root causes of what is going on and why men in South Africa in particular are brutalizing women in such a manner and murdering women in our country. This is not the first a high-profile case of this nature. There have been several, and despite this consistent messaging, it continues to be a problem that plagues our society, and various interventions have been made. But outside court, and someone who was also inside court from the provincial government, of course, is Mbali Hlophe, the Gauteng Social Development MEC and Agriculture MEC. MEC Hlophe, what is going on with our society in terms of your view? Why do men keep brutalizing our women in such a manner? And this case comes at a time when we are going towards the 16 days of activism. What can be done?
As you know, what should be a good morning is not today. We've had to come here to the Springs Court to come and listen to the murder case of Paula. And I'm here with her family, her mother, her son, who now have to pick up themselves after, unfortunately, her boyfriend decided to do as he pleases with her, ending her life in such a brutal manner, not only taking care of just what he's doing to the family, but also just the implication of this with her kids and what it means for their future. So, President has indicated that GBV is a second pandemic, and it certainly is, and it remains one of those that we need to shine the spotlight on. So we are here today, and unfortunately this takes place during the 16 days of activism. So it further highlights the call and why it's important that we are able to bring society together to make sure we all fight this scourge. And we are focusing a lot on male-focused programs, especially looking at the boy child. You know, we had 365 awards for men, just appreciating men who are a great example, because we need to start speaking more about that so that we're able to turn the tide on these horrific stats that we're seeing in terms of GBV.
And Mr. Hlophe, do you think perhaps the justice system could also play its part? Many people have been calling for more stringent sentences to try and be a deterrent, some even calling for the return of the death penalty. Do you think that's the route to go at this stage, given what has happened, despite this messaging from government about focusing on the boy child, about social interventions? Do you think the law should do its bit as well?
Absolutely. The law definitely needs to take its course, and it has to be brutal in the same way that these perpetrators are brutalizing their victims and also not caring about what they're doing to society and their family. We definitely think that the law must be a lot harsher. And I was quite glad to see that part of the engagements is that they must be given life. So let them get life in jail for what they've done, because it certainly can't be that you can kill someone and expect to walk out in the next couple of years. So they too must be affected. We know that obviously we've got a legal system that tends to rehabilitate individuals and so forth. So we're saying let them go and rehabilitate in jail, but they certainly should not be exposed to society, and especially after what they've done. I mean, we can't even imagine what these kids and their life is going to be post this.
And going forward from your department and from provincial government, what kind of support can be offered? We can see that it's quite an emotional time for the family. What should be done, and what would you encourage community members? We see activists here who've gathered around to give them support, but what should be done to give them that holistic support they need?
So the department has brought social workers because we understand that, you know, what is difficult is not just the court case, but it's the aftermath, and it's how the families to deal with the aftermath of all of this. So that's the one part, and we appreciate that the court case and the law must take its course, and that's why we're here today, to really support the family. But what's important and critical for us is what becomes the rehabilitation that we need to bring into the family. How do we allow them to mourn, but also still see life post this? Particularly for the kids, those are the ones that I'm most worried about, because as you know, that when such incidences take place that are life-changing, you don't see them immediately. It's the long-term effects that I'm worried about, and that's why we've brought our social workers to work very closely with the family. She's got kids that are this side, and there's another one that's in Soweto, so we've brought our team to make sure that they walk this path with them, so that in the future we don't have this reoccurring or the impact thereof showing face to the kids later on in life.
Very much for that, Mrs. Mqoba. Now, if I can just take a bit of liberty here, we've got the victim's mother, Ellen Mbonani. Ellen, we could have run country. It's a hating.
Ngithunga kakhulu angazi ngithini angazi ngikhulume ngithini nede nje ufuna ijustice nje.
Justice ongajabulele uyibona ufuna ijustice enjani ma?
Ufuna ijustice ahlale ubomi bakhe kahle ejele angaphumi kahle ngoba ukuphuma kwakhe usazowenza lento ayenzile ibhlungu lento ayenzile emntwaneni wami kakhulu ngoba umenze isihlungu kakhulu. So bengicela nje ukuthi umphakathi ume nathi kuko konke ene ijustice ithathe indima yayo. I believe ngiyacela kakhulu.
Umntana kho umuntu onjani?
Umntwana alright, umntwana bekayihlekela idlalela beka right yena communicate nabantu, uzwana nabantu, bengasumuntu omubi kahle. Beka umntwana alright. Uneyichomi nabantu, uneyichomi zakhe, but khuluma kamnandi yonke into yakhe nje be right nokusebenza endlini. Bengicela yena azongenzela yonke into endlini. Mangiklina yeza azongiklinisa njalo uyeza Monday azongincedisa ukusebenza endlini. Nomntana abantwana bakhe ayeza azobanikeza ngoba bekangasebenzi le 350 at least bekayiletha for isinkwa yabantwana bakhe. Beka right yena kakhulu. Ngifuna ukukhuluma maka beka right emndenini.
That's Ellen Mbonani, the victim's mother, just remembering the late Ellen, the later victim there, Paula Mqoba, saying that she was someone who was loving and was supportive, and with the little means that she had was always ensuring that the family had something to eat, loving to her children as well, and describing it as a loss, and calling on the perpetrator and on calling on justice to take its course, and that if the perpetrator is found by the law to have been guilty of this brutal murder, because it's still before court, then she wants them to serve their life behind bars. So calling on justice to do its bit to ensure that justice is done, Koli. So quite an emotional day here. Let me see if I can get a word in from some of the activists who are here, who have come to support. I wonder if maybe they can give us a word. That you've come to also offer some support here for the family and to make your voice heard in court. What would you have to say about this format?
As community members and members of One Strong Voice, we are deeply saddened of what has occurred to the family. It's not only the Mqoma Mbonani's family which are facing this scourge, but we as an organization and the members of the community, we are calling for the justice departments to impose harsher sentences, because if they will let go one perpetrator, someone might fall victim again. So our call is simple: let the accused or let the suspect receive a life imprisonment. They've got no room in our society. They've got a nice place where they belong, whereby they are kept for years there. So they've got no room in our society. The best way is to move them away from the society. They've shown that they don't belong in our society. So we hope that the courts will find him guilty should the trial begin.
As One Voice, what more are you doing beyond the courts? Because we know that the courts are guided by the prescripts of the legislative framework itself. Are you looking maybe perhaps to escalate it to government level to say re-look at the laws? Because it's the laws that guide what the courts can do, and that see perpetrators sometimes getting what communities think is a slap on the wrist for such serious crimes.
Indeed, that is why we also have the official from the government, MEC, Mbadishope, to say we say we do not want these things happening. Our call as the One Strong Voice Foundation is to say, for an example, before this guy appeared for the bail hearing, we wrote a petition to the court to say these are the members of a community that do not want to see this guy out. We request the court to deny him bail. That is number one. So all the bail conditions and whatnot, they don't tell us how the case outcome is going to be, but they rather tell us, Hori, we are going somewhere in terms of at least we know that the investigations are not going to be interrupted by the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator. So we further work with the families, they need support. So we do not just come here in court just to attend court cases, but we are with the families. We also request to the departments that are dealing with these cases to say, guys, can you provide counseling? For an example, the deceased has got 3 kids. So we've requested to the department, can we just please help to empower these kids so that whenever they get depressed, at least they get depressed while there's an income that's going to be coming in. So we are doing the prevention more than attending court cases.
Thank you very much for that. So, Koli, that's just a broad overview there of the voices outside court who are monitoring this particular situation very closely and seeing that the wheels of justice do turn. This is a recurring theme from those who have spoken, including, of course, MEC Mbali Sope from the Department of Social Development, Agriculture, Rural Development and Environment from Gauteng. Certainly giving a strong voice there, saying that government will also do its part, which is encouraging, to try and support the family which is mourning at this time. And we also heard from, of course, the victim's mother, a very emotional call there as well for justice to take its course and the full letter of the law to be applied in terms of the perpetrator, the alleged perpetrator, to, if found guilty, spend their time, the rest of their time, behind the bars here on earth. So that's the situation outside here in Springs, outside the Magistrate's Court. With that, it's back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Tumaole Mohlaoli. Live for us outside that Magistrate's Court. It's a terrible situation in our country. GBV.